Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. So today we're talking about RPE and should you train using the RPE method. And the RPE stands for rate of perceived exertion. So this method consists of rating your exercises on 10. So for example squats or bench press or whatever, according to 10, 10 being the number of repetitions. So if you feel that you could do 10 repetitions, then you stop at like 7, then your RPE would be 7 or 8. So you would do 8 reps, but you know that you would do 10. So you could add 2 more. And so basically this method advocates that you train like 7, 8 reps as opposed to 10, 10 being your failure. So you cannot do any more reps. So you stop at 8 instead of doing the full 10 maximum reps that you can do. So you stop at 8. And this issue has been making a lot of noise recently. It's been really contradictory. As you can see, for example, from the latest video of Jeff Nippard, is RP actually killing your gains? A response to Athlean-X and critic. So people are quite differing regarding this issue. Now I don't want to dwell really in the question and pick sides. I mean, I believe there is quite enough of research done, and if you're really interested in knowing the deepest truth, then you can search for yourself the different experiments that have been taken. I mean, I for myself has always chosen to train however I want, and I did try every method possible. So like training to failure, training near failure, training to like RPE, like 8 reps, 7 out of the possible 10, kind of, so like 80%, 70%, and even trained like for like maintenance at like 5 or 4 RPEs in a few periods in my life, a few months where I was really busy and not in the mood to train hard, etc. So I tried it all, and anything actually was useful, and nothing was much different than the other. And you can also check my video on training to failure and see my differing results for each muscle groups even. But anyways, the point I wanted to make is that you shouldn't really take this so seriously that you focus a lot on this, for the following reason. Now let's draw a line, and let's say that this line is your entire life or a lifetime of training. So you started here, and this is after like 30 years of training, the end of your training life. Now let's start by talking about natty bodybuilders first, like myself. So as you may know, as a natty, you have what you call the noob gains. So from a period of like 1 year, you get the best gains ever, up to like 10 pounds, maybe even a bit more the first year. So let's say that the points over here are the number of pounds of muscle you can gain during a year. So the first year would be very high, like here. Then the second year you would gain half of your first year, approximately. So like 5 pounds, something like this, according to some studies. And the studies say that it keeps decreasing and decreasing and decreasing, etc. Some of you natty bodybuilders may know this. Now, the other important thing to know is that for natty bodybuilders, you will not actually gain for all of your life. So you cannot keep gaining, no matter how perfect your nutrition is, and no matter how perfect your training is, and how balanced your hormones are. Even if you get your testosterone to the max level, you will reach a point in your life where you will stagnate and you will stop gaining. Okay? And I've known many natural bodybuilders, like my first coach, for example, who trained for like 26, 27 years. And that was like 14 years ago. And he said that for years he'd been stagnated to like 85 kilograms lean. 85 kilograms of lean mass. And 87, 88 when bulking. And he was, I believe, 1 meter 78. So like about 5'10", something like this. So the point is, as an Ari, you have a limit. So let's say that your limit is 85, like my coach, my first ever coach. Let's say that your natural limit lean at like 9-10% body fat would be 95 kilograms. Okay. Now let's take the example of my coach. So let's say he reached this peak at like 20 years of training. So this is 20 years. So he reached the max. Because he did say that it has been year that he had that weight. So let's say that his max reached was at 20 years. So for all those remaining years, let's say here it's been 30 years of training, all of these years he didn't gain anything, any muscle, or barely gained anything, barely gained a few, let's say a few grams or a few 100 grams, let's say, or not gain anything at all. So since he reached his peak after 20 years, it doesn't matter how much he trains, how well he trains, how perfect his diet is, how perfect his protein intake is, how much protein he takes. It doesn't matter. So let's say that his first 20 years were perfect, so, or almost perfect. So perfect diet, perfect training, or almost, and he gained his maximum potential after 20 years. So you can see that for 10 years he's basically training and dieting just for maintenance only. Okay, now let's draw another line of somebody else. Let's say it's me. Okay, so for example, here you start starting weight. Again, you have the noob gains, then it decreases, then you may even stagnate here because of, let's say, bad diet or whatever, and then you start checking the diet and the programming to train better, so you start gaining again, then it goes down, then you go up. Let's say it's a yo-yo kind of stuff. Okay, kind of yo-yo results. Unlike the perfect athlete, the perfect bodybuilder who always had perfect diet and perfect training. So let's say this less than perfect guy with a lot of flaws. Okay, this is his training career. So again, the 20-year mark is here, and you can see that he didn't gain all his maximum potential gains, and this is after 30 years. So my point is that even though he didn't do a perfect training, so like for example the other guy, the first guy, so let's say those who criticize the RPE or any other kind of things, because this is like a general rule for bodybuilding in general. Anyone who criticizes anything regarding training methods or dieting methods, etc., basically they are saying that this way of training is not good because look at that. You will have inconsistent results, unlike the other guy who had the perfect way of training. So he has the best results, but the point is that they are missing the bigger picture. That is that, for example, let's say this guy, he reaches his maximum at like 25 years. And again, this is very far-fetched because I believe no one would train for 25 years and have a very poor diet and training like this to lose 5 years of gains like that. But anyways, this is a far-fetched, exaggerated example just to show you what I mean. So my point is that this second guy who wasn't training or eating perfectly, he reached his max of 85. Sorry, here 25 years. After 25 years, but the point is that he still reached his maximum of 85, just like the other guy who reached his max at 20 years only. So the difference is the amount of time that the two guys took to reach their maximum potential, because I remind you that for Naris you have a maximum potential for your body. So really in the end, trying to have the perfect diet, the perfect workout plan, in the end it really doesn't matter, because what matters is the bigger picture. I mean, you could say that you want the fastest gains possible, you want to gain as fast as possible, but the truth is, when you're a natty, look at that. You would gain your maximum potential after like decades of training, like 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Me, for myself, I've been like 81, 82 kilograms lean at about 10% body fat for like 5 years, and I've been training for 15 years. So I probably even reached my max after like about 10 years only. And if I didn't reach the max yet, then there's really little to be gained at my point of training career. There's really little to be gained. So you can see that it's not a big deal. So even if you had some less than perfect diet and training over here, for example, then you can still see that after a certain amount of time, you will reach the goal that this guy reached. Okay, so that is what is important to know for natty bodybuilders, and of course for enhanced athletes, those who use steroids and drugs. Now for them, yes, they can gain, they can keep improving year after year, and keep always getting bigger and bigger until they reach probably their max, but their max is really huge. It could be like almost twice as much as this weight, but yeah, it's not really comparable because they can do anything and they will gain. They can even avoid training altogether and just take enough steroids, enough testosterone, 600 milligrams of testosterone a week, and if they double it or triple it, then the gains would be even much bigger. And if you don't believe this, then check out my video on the experiment of enhanced versus natural athletes, and you can see that studies showed that even without training, steroid users gained almost twice as much as natural bodybuilders. So anyways, that concludes our video for today. I want to remind you that one of the best tips I can think of is that take this as a long journey. You should take this as a long journey and not a marathon, or excuse me, as a marathon and not a sprint. So you're not in a race to gain as much weight or muscle weight as possible. If you are desperate for this, then the only way, I'm sorry, is steroids. Because as you see, either this perfect guy or this less than perfect guy, both of them natties, both of them, their gains are really small and really slow, and they get even slower, even for this guy who is perfect and doing everything perfectly. So take this as a marathon and make it your lifestyle and have fun. And thanks for watching. Check out my other videos and see you next time.